So recently I got a question about pen cases, and so I thought, let's go through everything I own and we'll talk about what I like and dislike about everything. There are a lot of cases I own. This isn't even all of them, but I do want to give you an overview of what I own to sort of give you an idea of what I actually use and really like, and hopefully you find this helpful. So let's get into it. So to start with, let's start with something that's not really a pen case, but is essential to my show experience. These are from a company called Shibui, and these are actually 8 vial cases for ink samples. I use them for fountain pen nibs though. And so at a show, these keep me incredibly organized. So these are the nibs that I bought at the DC Super Show this year, or feeds that I got at the DC Super Show this year. And then these are my nib grind nibs and Tom Studio tips and an adapter for platinum that lets you use standard international cartridges with platinum pens that I picked up from Toronto Pen Shop, because you never know when a pen's going to run out of ink, and I would much rather carry an adapter than proprietary cartridges. So these are all my nib grind nibs, which are all labeled up top. I love these cases. They keep me super organized, and they also mean that I always know when I go to a pen show that I've got nibs available for nib grinds. Right now, I'm just carrying Schmidt's and Jovos. I'm sure at some point I'll switch that up, but for now, Schmidt number 5s and Jovos are mostly what I'm getting grinds on, and if I randomly decide to get a grind on something else, I can just buy that nib from somebody. So these are essentials and make me incredibly happy. They also feel quite robust. I did think they were going to be more blue than they are. They are more of like a slate gray than deep blue, which is what they're called, but I do really like them. Next up is Esterbrook. So I have a variety of cases from Esterbrook, including the elusive cube. I have last year's little puffy coat. I adore this. There is no reason for me to love this as much as I do. It is ridiculous, and I'm obsessed. I also love that it has a clip. I wish more pen cases, and specifically single pen cases, came with clips so that I could clip them into like the key ring inside purses so that I didn't lose them in a purse. More things need clips, but this is super cute. I was super happy I got the black one because they were a mystery you didn't get to pick, and it's ridiculously fun. And I'm sure I will use it with pens in the coming months as it starts to get chilly again. I also normally have more of these around the studio. These are just the little fuzzy pen sleeves Esterbrook gives out when you buy a pen at a show. I tend to have a bunch of these around because I bought a bunch of Esterbrook's at shows, and these are what I use when I'm loaning pens to friends or have given pens to friends. I find that they protect pens quite nicely, and they're relatively inexpensive, and I like them for that reason. Plus they offer a good amount of protection. Like, they're not as padded as some cases, but if you're like just needing a pen sleeve, like they're lined, they fit pens pretty tightly, and so I do really like them. I am down to 2 though, so I'm going to need to get some more at some point, because they are my favorite way to loan pens out or gift pens to people, just because they're protective without being pricey. And then we have the cube. I will be honest, I do not use my cube as a pen case. I got it. I think I used it as a pen case once, and I've promptly turned it into a very expensive tech organizer. It's not that it doesn't work well as a pen case, it's that I really like to, especially at shows, photograph pens in pen cases, and I had not realized how bright orange the inside of the cube was going to be. It doesn't show up well on camera. It is like highlighter orange-ish, which is fine. It works really well for protecting pens. It's padded, it doesn't bend, it does its job. It just doesn't work well for what I need it for at a show. And so instead I use it as my mic organization case, and will throw my cables in here and various mic adapters and mic blocks and accessories. And it works really well as that. I am excited to see if they continue to innovate with it. And in a V2 version, is the inside a different color? For now though, for me it is a very expensive tech organizer. And I have used it bringing pens home from shows when I've needed extra case space, but day to day I don't use it as a pen case, just because of the color, really, on the inside, making it hard to photograph pens and stuff. Other than that though, like, I genuinely really like it. It's got a good number of pockets. It's got pockets everywhere. It's got little bungee straps so that you can attach it to bags. It's got clips and loops so that you can attach it to bags. It's got more pockets. It's got plastic lined pockets. This one's lined. And this one's lined, though it doesn't zip up. And you've got loops. And you've got a pocket here. Like, it offers a good amount of space for the price, which I do think is nice. So for now, it's my tech pouch. We'll see if that changes in the future. But at the moment, it's where I store cables and mics when traveling to a show. Specifically a local show. When I'm traveling to a bigger show, my case is much larger for mics and tech, but when I'm going to something like Scriptus, something like this covers me. So that is what the Esterbrook Cube has become, and we'll see if it becomes a pen case again in the future. Next up is Rickshaw. I have a growing collection of Rickshaw products. I have show exclusive sleeves, and I have pen store exclusive sleeves, which are these ones. And I have Drew Brown's shirt as a double pen koozie. And then I've got the Sugar Turtle Studio Fillmore that has become my EDC currently, or one of my 2 EDCs currently. I would say if you can find a pattern of a Fillmore you love, a Fillmore is worth the price. I did think I was going to end up just doing a Harris Tweed Fillmore. They are more expensive. You do have to get in touch to order one, but I was pretty sure I was going to get a Harris Tweed Fillmore. And then Sugar Turtle Studio released this print, and I absolutely fell in love. I do really like many things about these. I like the loop on the zipper, meaning that you can like clip them to a bag. I like the fact that in this one, which is the 6 pen, you can slide things in here, or you can slide 2 blanks out here if you're at a pen show, and suddenly you can carry blanks and pens. And the plush. Rickshaw always does plush. I do like the plush. Is green my favorite color? No, but it's a box of crayons, and green is, you know, on theme. All of these have coordinating plush on the inside. So this one's pink. I think these Heinz ones are white. I think this is yellow. Yeah, it's yellow. I don't know what, white and white. And I think Drew's is blue. Yeah. I like Rickshaw products. They are pricey, but if you can find patterns you like, I think they're totally worth it. And I do really like Rickshaw single pen sleeves if I'm just throwing a single pen in my purse or into the pocket of a jacket. I'll slip it into one of these. I also have attached loops to any of my ones that didn't already have loops so that I can attach them to lanyards or clip them into bags and stuff. It just makes them more versatile for me, and I wasn't using the ones that didn't have loops, so I fixed that. So, Rickshaws. Didn't think I was going to get a Fillmore in a non-Harris Tweed pattern. Happy I did. Up next we have Girologio. I also have a desk pad from Girologio in the mini size, which fits in my Galen Leather pen case, but it is not in Sugar Plum, it's in Navy. This is Sugar Plum. It's one of their new colors for 2025, and I am absolutely obsessed with it. I didn't think I was going to get a 12 pen or a single pen. I thought I was probably going to get a double pen or a triple, which is what I use the most, but I saw the single pen and thought, oh, I know what you're going to fit, and it fits it perfectly, and it matches, and that is my Visconti Homo Sapien Iris Garden, which is still living in this case. I have not gotten in touch with Bryce yet to find out what the leather cleaning instructions are for these products. They are a much softer, more suede-y leather than some of the other leathers Girologio carries, and also compared to my Galen Leather products. So I have a feeling you clean them in a similar way to suede, but I'm going to ask before I clean them the first time and condition them. And then we have my 12 pen. I actually sort of needed this coming home from DC because some of the pens I got were significantly taller. And as much as I love my 10 pen from Galen, if I put them side by side, you can see the difference in width. And so my issue is that if I've got fat pens, they don't fit in my Galen. And I was traveling with my Galen, and then I got fat pens, and I was sort of screwed. So I was very excited to be able to pick this up in Sugar Plum. It's a brilliant color. And unlike my Galen that I have to be really careful about which way I angle the clips so that everything fits really nicely, I didn't care, and I just put stuff in willy-nilly, and everything fit incredibly nicely. And I also really like that the zipper flips over the top, and so that you don't have to be worried when you're pulling things out that things are going to get scratched, which I really appreciate. So I think I prefer this to my 10 pen purely because of width. I'm sure that I'd like the 10 pen expansive, but it wasn't an option when I got my 10 pen from Galen, and so I didn't pick one up at this show because I'd just gotten my expansive folio a couple months before, and it's always nice to try something from a different brand, and Girologio had finally released a purple that I really liked. So Sugar Plum came home with me. Again, the softer, more suede-y leather. I do really like how it feels. I'm sure over time it'll get like the more sort of polished, waxy leather feel just from being in the hand. For now, though, it's still incredibly soft, and I'm interested to see how it wears. I haven't actually carried this one much other than back from DC because it's rare I carry 12 pens, but Scriptus is coming up. The Pelican Home's coming up. I'm sure with the pen shows that are upcoming, I will be carrying 12 pens, and this will get some use. So we'll see how it fares. I also like that it's different. A lot of people carry Galen products, and so at events, it's sometimes hard to keep track of which pen case is yours. Fewer people I find carry Girologio products, and so hopefully it's slightly easier to keep track of pens and pen cases. Because mine will look slightly different. Next up is probably, I really want one of the bigger cases. It's not practical with crutches, but I do really want one. So we'll see what happens there. On to Galen. Galen Leather is definitely my biggest pile by far. To start with, we have my Slip and Zip, which at a pen show is my problem child pen case. These are the pens that need work of some sort. I'm obsessed with this. I don't know what I'd do without it, especially at pen shows, because if a pen is in the case, it is missing something. It's missing a nib. It needs nib work. It's missing a converter. Like, I opened it up. Something's wrong with it. I need to go have a conversation with somebody about it. This case is essential for me at a pen show. It is one of the few things that keeps me organized and on task, and I honestly don't know what I'd do without it. I've now used it for 3 pen shows in this same way, where it's like, this is my problem child pen case. If something is in it, something needs to happen with the pen. And it's fantastic because it's also a system Mom knows. Mom knows that if a pen is in this case, something needs to happen with the pen. It also means that if I'm dropping off pens to nib people, my pens are going back in a case, which is what happened at Chicago. Like, I dropped off pens with Matthew, and Matthew's mother brought me back the pen case with the pens in it. It's a great system, and I find it essential for keeping my sanity. Fantastic. It also was an EDC for a long time. It has been replaced by this. Next up, we have my Galen 10 pen. This is Crazy Horse Smoke. This is a very, I'd say, brown batch of Crazy Horse Smoke. I do really like it though. It has gotten a lot of use over the past year and a bit, and I'm sure it'll continue to get used, but you do have to use it with pens that are thinner. And right now, a lot of the things that I'm using day to day are not thin, and so just aren't fitting in this case. This is a hand-me-down from somebody. I don't actually know what color it is. I think it's smoke, because the zipper colors are pretty much the same. That being said, I'm not totally sure, and it could be any number of colors from Galen. But if I had to guess, I think it's smoke. It is a 5 pen with, ooh, I didn't know there were still things in there, but I took everything out. It's a 5 pen with a storage pocket. I do really like these sort of style of cases where they are less pens, but again, it's a very thin case, and so your pens have to be skinny to fit. And I think I'm just not using pens right now that are skinny enough to fit. We'll investigate what's in that pocket later. And then all of the sleeves, the many, many sleeves. So Galen Leather gives these out at DC. And somehow I have acquired many of them over the past couple of years. I've only been to DC once. I'm unsure how I've acquired 4. I think I probably got one in an order from them. Don't know how I acquired the other 2. But I acquired 2 more. This was my DC one this year. And I actually really like them. I use them for single pens. I use them sometimes to gift pens to people. I think I've had 5. I think I've gifted 1. They're a nice giftable sleeve, even if they're not a color you want to keep in your collection. And so I find them really useful for that. I also do use them because one thing we haven't talked about yet is my 5-star pencil case that I've had since grade 9. Because what I love about this is that I can slide a bunch of these sleeves with pens in them and a bunch of the Rickshaw single pen sleeves in, and then you just zip it up and it's great. It keeps all your little pen sleeves together with their pens in them. They're super cheap, or they were at the time, and I absolutely adore it. And it's frequently on my desk because if I'm using a whole bunch of pens that I do want to keep in sleeves, like vintage stuff, then they're in sleeves, they're on my desk, but they are safely kept together. These are great. My expansive folio. I think this is the most expensive pen case I own. And I struggle to actually call it a pen case because to me, this sort of falls in the more like office products, like full-blown work portfolios world versus pen cases world. And I definitely use mine as that. For me, this is an everyday carry. This has replaced my Travelers and a pen case as being my EDC. Everything's together. I switch out the pens probably 4 times a week, depending on my mood, depending on like what I'm doing. And it is just one of those products where I keep coming back to it because they are incredibly expensive. They are not inexpensive, but they are worth it in my opinion if you can get it in a color you like. And I'm going to keep saying that because if you can't get something in a color you like, my personal belief is that you should hold off until you can get it in a color you like, because when you're spending this much money, don't just buy it to buy it because you can get it in a color you actually like and will enjoy using. For me, navy blue. Was not going to get black. Black is boring. Everyone has black portfolios. I got mine in Crazy Horse Smoke. I love how the corners are wearing and the back is wearing. It's just so nice and so pretty. I've conditioned this, I think, once since I got it in May. It's now the end of August, and it's great. I keep at least one pad of paper in here, sometimes two. Currently, we're using MD grid paper, but it was MD blank earlier this week. I have 5 fountain pens. Yeah, because this is a fountain pen. I've got a roller ball. I've got a couple fine liners up here in a Galen Leather single pen sleeve. I've got some business cards. I have one of the luxury brands of America, the Splash Pad Inkmeister coasters. I love these for starting things like Posca markers or pens that are maybe not starting the way I want them to. It's great because you're not wasting a page. You're just using one of these coasters. Like this, these are not inexpensive cases. But to me, they also feel a step above other cases because they're not normal cases. Like these fall into the same category for me as the Galen Leather medic bags, where they are no longer just a case. They are performing another duty or task as well. And in this case, it is, you know, pens and a full portfolio. I do wish it was like legal or A4, just a little bit bigger. This is the A5 in expansive, and as much as I love it, I do wish I didn't have to fold up other sheets of paper for them to fit in here if I'm bringing notes home from a meeting or like the agenda from a meeting. I do have to fold it to fit in here. So I do hope that they come out with a bigger version soon. I would really like that. And I'm interested to see if they release it in any more colors. Currently, they've only released it in a few. And I think I would have gotten this in the smoke, but I didn't want to wait. So instead, I got it in the navy blue, which I also think is very pretty and much more fun than black. We have 2 groups left. First up is homemade pen rolls. I made a whole bunch of these one year and absolutely love them. I tend to carry all of them to pen shows because you never know when you're going to have a bunch of things you want to bring home. Sometimes it's pens, sometimes it's just like sample vials of ink and stuff. These are great. They take up almost no space. They pack flat. They just roll up and tie. And just like that, you know, you have, well, yeah, just like that, you've got your pens all packed up and ready to go. So I made a bunch of these. Mom actually has 2 or 3 currently. I also have one for pocket pens where I modified the pattern, and then I've got some regular ones. The nice thing about these also is that they take a fat quarter. So if you find a fat quarter at a fabric store that you like, you can make these out of a fat quarter, which is what I did for all of these. These were all fat quarters from a quilting shop, which was lovely. And I always love a project like that that doesn't take much fabric. I will say these are not easy to make. You can see like the corners on this one are quite ragged. I didn't turn them properly and I didn't catch this edge somehow properly. These ones Grandma turned all the corners of, and so they look much more professional. I'm not great at turning corners on projects, so sometimes we leave it to the professionals, and I just sew all the other lines. But I do really like them, and they are an inexpensive way to really increase your pen storage quickly, as long as you have access to a sewing machine and a good amount of patience. Finally, we have my 2 Amazon cases. These were both relatively inexpensive. I believe Lori Tata was the one that introduced me to these in her like 2023, 2024 pen case video. I do really like them. I tend to use this one quite often actually for more expensive pens. If I'm traveling with my Mont Blanc or if I'm traveling with stuff like that, I do like to have them in a hard case. And so this one tends to get quite a lot of use. I don't use the 12 as often as I used to because I've got other big pen cases now that take up less space, but the 3 pen still gets a lot of use, and I do like that the trays pull all the way out. So there we go. Let me know down below which pen case was your favorite. Do you have any questions? What deep dive would you like to see next? And if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.